Hello everybody, hope you are well. It's Friday again and we're on to legs 11, double one. So this week I decided to do something a little bit different. It's something that I've seen on Pinterest a few times and I've always wanted to have a go, which is doing a little origami butterfly. So I thought we'd do that this week. Great excuse for having a go at something that you just fancy doing. So what you're going to need, you are going to need some fabric for your butterfly. You want two different types. One's going to be inside front and back, and then a backing fabric to attach your butterfly onto. And what you're going to need to do is to cut out two pieces of fabric that are 13 by 5 centimeters times 2. Now you can cheat if you want. You could do a little bit of machine stitching if you want to, or you can hand stitch. This is going to be totally and utterly up to you. So what we need to do to start off with is put your fabric, once you've cut it out, face together. So right sides together, and then pin. And we're going to stitch all the way around the edge. So if you want to do hand stitching, you will just use a back stitch. If you want to machine stitch, you're just going to run it through your sewing machine. Done my usual thing where I can't find any pins. Oh, it's there. I'm going to move my pin cushion. So just pin it to hold all the bits in place. If you're hand stitching, if you use some machine thread, and what you're going to do is just mark a little opening. That's where you're not going to stitch, and what you're going to do is start by one of the openings and stitch around the edge. So if you're doing a back stitch, just start there, do your first stitch, and then you go back halfway and on a stitch. So you're just going to keep going. I'm going about, I don't know, say half a centimetre in from the edge. Now if you're machine stitching, this won't take you very long. If you're hand stitching, it just takes a little bit of time. I suppose really it just depends on if you've got your machine to hand. If you do want to do it on your machine, it'll just mean it'll just be quite a quick flag this week, or at least this bit will be quite quick. If you're hand stitching, when you get to the corners, make sure that you go right into your corner. Well, no, not right into the corner, sorry. You have a stitch that goes into the corner. So what I mean is, so I'm coming to my corner. So I've got my corner section there. I'm going to do a stitch and I go back to that corner. And then I'll start stitching. Oh, it's a hot iron. Oh, cat, go on, off you go. Oh my goodness me. Duncan, you dillywat. He's okay, it's alright, he didn't catch it. Oh, that just freaked me out then. He just snuck in. I've just got my little iron, my little craft iron on. Oh, I should shut the door. Oh, that woke me up. Okay, so you're just going to carry on stitching all the way around. Hope everybody's well this Friday. Hope the weather's good. Obviously I'm doing this a little bit earlier than the Friday that you're watching it, and the weather here outside is not very good at all. But I always say it's wet and windy outside, an excellent reason to be sat sitting inside stitching. Not that I need an excuse really at all. Don't need an excuse. It's just nice to sit and stitch. So I'm just continuing just with this back stitch. So I'm coming to the corner again, just mainly just so you know that you get your corners. So come up at the corner, so I've come out at the corner, and then do your stitch and come back out at the corner, turn it round, and then carry on stitching. So one of those things that I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to run out of thread as we're going around. So I've wanted to do this for a while. I've kept looking on not YouTube, Pinterest. And they just look so pretty, especially if you've got little bits of fabric. I think it's one of these things that I'm probably going to make one and then I'll start making a few more. I was thinking about some of the students that I've got at A-level have been studying butterflies as part of their project, so I think I might be taking these into school to show them. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. It's very windy outside. So nice just to come home and get yourself all sorted, sat upstairs. Little bit of stitching. Okay. Right, I'm going to run out of thread. So if you run out of thread, just tie it off. Oops. There we go. Just go through your loop. I'm just going to pull that a bit tight. Right, re-thread and off we go again. One of the things I always think about when I'm stitching, it's like my insides are doing a happy dance. Coming from work, you go in the kitchen and you just think, oh my goodness me, look at the place. I really should be tidying up or emptying the dishwasher or filling the dishwasher, and it's like, nope. I've had a day at work. I am going to go and do some stitching for an hour. Mind you, for me, stitching for an hour then it turns into a full evening stitching, because whatever I'm doing up here, once everybody's downstairs and we've had tea and we're sat in the lounge, I'm usually sat stitching. Right, so I've gone to my corner, stitch it again into your corner, and we're going the other way. Nearly there. So obviously, if you want to speed up this process and you have a sewing machine, it'll make your life a bit quicker. But it's really funny, in the past I would have been the first person to have just said, right, let's get sewing machines out, but they're handy. Well, they're very handy obviously, but I just like the motion of stitching. I think I could do it quickly, but I don't want to. I want to sit and just enjoy sewing. Alright, we're nearly there. My stitches have probably got a little bit bigger as I've gone round. So I've gone into the corner again, then do the back stitch and come back up in that corner. It just means just doing that twice. It just means the corner's nice and tightly stitched. You just got a definite corner. Okay, so when I come back round the other side, I'm going to come up to my little marker that I did and then tie it off. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to trim the corners just so it takes a little bit of excess fabric out, and then we're going to turn it inside out. Now this is my way of doing it. This is from what I've gleaned from looking at worksheets and little things on, little instructions on Pinterest, and obviously loads of people have probably made these. You might even have made them as well, and there might be a different way of making them. you might want to go and look for something else. You might not want to make a butterfly. You might have butterfly fabric that you think, oh, do you know what, I'll just make a little flag out of that. So I've got my little hole. Let's pull this over because I keep on, there we go, that's a bit better, there we go. Yeah, so I've got my little hole. So because I've done this with hand stitching, you need to be really careful when you turn it inside out. Machine stitching, the advantage with machine stitching is your stitches are a little bit more robust. With hand stitching, you just need to be a little bit more gentle. So just pull it through. Just carefully, just turning it inside out. There we go. And then you just want to get into your corners. You've got a blunt pair of scissors or a pokey stick or something. What have I got? No, that's not a pokey stick. Yes, I've got my weaving stick. So I'm just going to poke that into the corner. Just poke my corners out. And then you want your iron, which is why I've got my little iron set up that Duncan nearly smashed his leg against. I'm going to end up with an ironed cat. Right, so, oh, I forgot to snip them. Oh, nuts. Okay, I'm wondering why it was a bit chunky. So what you need to do, just to make it a little bit easier, just on the corners, just take the corner off, so that when you push it back through, there isn't as much fabric. That's why I'm having a bit of difficulty. So poke my corners back. So where you've got your corner like that, you just take in the corner off. Just be careful not to cut your stitch in. It just means that when you're turning it back inside out, there's not as much fabric, so it won't feel as bulky. So obviously do this before you've turned it inside out, but if you have turned it inside out, you can always turn it back the right way around. There we go. Let's trim that corner off. Right, okay. Clear them bits away. Right, try again. Here we go. Now it might be a bit easier now. There's the hole, there we go. To just poke my corners out because there's not as much fabric. Blooming genius. Right, when you've done that, then you're going to want to iron your little rectangles. It's like you've made a little pillowcase. Contrasting fabrics you could go for. I've gone for really like a little flowered piece, and then I have a little written piece of fabric. It's out of my fat quarter stash that during lockdown I decided I was going to start using. So what you want to do is where that opening is fold your edges in and just pull it, just so that it folds them in really nicely, so it gives you that nice edge, and then just iron it. Bit of an iron. Now if you've got your sewing machine out, you can just top stitch right around the edge, so just run your sewing machine around the edge. Hand stitching, I don't really want to sit and have to stitch all the way around it again, so I'm just going to do a little slip stitch, a little invisible stitch. Just to pull the edges together. So you just do this by catching just a little bit of the fabric and you're going to run along the crease. So get your needle, thread, little knot, just a little one at the end, trim the tail off. So here's my opening. So all I'm going to do is get my needle and come in, gone inside, I'm just coming up the fold, so up on the edge there, so that my little knot goes inside. And then what I'm going to do, hopefully I'll be able to see, it's a bit hard this because it's on its side, is I'm just going to run my needle a little stitch just in the crease of the fabric at that side. I don't know how well you can see that. We focus them for a second. Oh, come on, focus. So I've gone for a little bit on that side, and then what you do is go for a little bit on this side, and you just go in just inside the fabric. You're running along like the inside of the fold, and you pull so it hides your stitching inside. So I'll try and draw a picture because you can't really see what I'm doing. If you imagine I've got the edges of my fabric, that's where it's stitched, so this is the opening here. My needle is going in that side, and then in that side, and in that side, and in that side, and in, oh god, you can't even see, sorry. So I'm going either side, so the thread comes over, and then when you pull it, it just pulls it shut, and you can't see the thread because it's hidden. Hopefully that makes sense. Or you can just do a top stitch all the way around the edge. So the stitching is going just inside. Can't really see it. So I'm just inside the fabric. Oops. So that when you do it, you can't see it at all. Right, Duncan, you cannot come in because I've got an iron. Yes, I know you're all being fussy knickers. He's been a very fussy knickers because it's raining outside. Let me move that out of the way, just in case he decides to jump back up again and I don't realise he's there. Okay, so along that side. I know, I can hear you. There. So I'm working my way along my little hole, so you can see there I've sort of joined that bit. Here he is, here's Duncan. You've got his head. Duncan, you're in the way. Yes, and you don't need to move the camera. Look at his little toes. No, we're not moving the camera. No, you need to get down, you cheeky boy. Mwah. Yeah, big purry pants. Go on, you go. Bless him. It's because there's nobody really in the house, I don't think. So he's got nobody to terrorise him or play with, and when it's windy and wet, he doesn't like going outside. Well, who does? I don't blame him. Right, I think I've done the whole of my hole. The whole of my hole. Yep, all the way across. Okie dokie. Definitely all the way across. Just double check. That last little bit. There we go. Right, let's just do a little loop. Little knot. Right, we're ready. So, there we go. So we've got our little rectangle made. Okay, right, this is where I've really got to concentrate. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, that way, and then into quarters. Okay, so I've got my quarters. Right, this is the bit now I've got to think about. Yeah, so I've got my quarters and I've got an opening, and I'm going to open and create a triangle. Okay, I'll do that again. So I've got it in half, in quarters, my opening's here, and I'm going to open that up so it brings that up and creates a triangle. So I've got my little edge there, triangle. Okay, turn it over. I've got an opening here. I'm going to open that so that comes over to there, and I make another triangle. Okay, so what I've got is like a pair of trousers. Got two triangles and then that opening. Okay, let's give it a bit of a finger fold and give it a bit of an iron. Oh. Just so it holds it. Right, you just need a couple of pins then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get hold of this corner here and that is going to come down like that, and that's going to create the wing. So that's one of our wings like that. So I've just lifted that up, just grab a pin, pop it in, get hold of this one here and bring that one and grab a pin and pop it in, and that's your butterfly shape. Okay, I'll do that again. So got it that way around, fold it in half and in quarters, half and quarters, half and quarters. There we go, half and quarters. So you want it so that you've got your opening there. So you've got folded edge opening. Open that out, and this bit here comes up to the middle, and that creates your first triangle. Flip it over. You've got an opening here, that's going over there, and it creates another triangle. Okay, give that a bit of a press, and then all we're going to do is get hold of this corner here and bring it down to create your wing. Pop that in, get hold of this, bring it down, pop a needle in, pin in, and create your wing, and you've got your butterfly. There are some where this bit here they fold it up, so I've got one here that's folded. Sometimes one of the things that you can do if you want to is that back piece, you can fold that up so that you get a butterfly goes in there and there, so you get a butterfly that's a bit more like that without that bit, but I quite like that. I don't mind that at all. Right, so then all you're going to need is needle and thread, and we just need to pop a couple of stitches in just to hold it in place. You're back again, mister. Hey, we unplug the iron, pop it down there. Stay there. We're done in a minute. Yeah. You're a good boy, aren't you? Okay. So all I need to do then. Duncan, you're in. There's butterflies. I know. Look, there's people watching you. Yeah, don't go sit on all those pins. Oh. Hello. No, you're in the screen. Come on. No, you can't sit down. Come on. Come on, lovely boy. Oh, we're done in a minute. Okay. I know it's not quick enough. Oh, bless him. Oh dear, I don't know. So what I want to do is a little stitch. So just going from the back, I'm just going to go from the back and back from the front. We're not going to see the back bit, so if you were, you could hide that in the other layer, but we're going to attach this obviously onto our backing piece in a second. So a couple of stitches to hold that. There we go. Pull that one down, just play around with it. There we go. A couple of stitches at the other side. So these would be really pretty. You could make more if you wanted to. So there's my little butterfly, and then what I have done is I have cut out of a dark piece of fabric. This is going to go on the back of my flag. So what I can do then is place my little butterfly on there, and then with that thread that I've just been using, take that through the back and then come back in and just anchor it onto your little flag. So just a couple of stitches will probably do. So if you make these little stab stitches, you can't really see them. Oh, that's so cute. Just tie it off the back, and then I'll do my usual where I attach it onto my flag, trim it off. Now then, there we go. Oops, that little one out of the way. That's a cutie dooty. I think what I might do, because the edge of that isn't that nice, so a little bit of my fabric, I might just do a little bit of like a bias binding at the top. So a bias binding, this is where you can do a really nice edge on your piece. So what you would do is get your fabric that you want to do and place it face down, face to face on there. Then just do a little running stitch. If you've got your sewing machine out, you could quickly just whiz on. So I'm going to do a stitch. So it's just going to give me just like a coordinating little bit of fabric. Oh, I really like that. It's ever so cute. Go. Oops. Come on. There we go. Finish through the back. And then what you can do with your fabric then is just lift it up. Now if you're doing full on bias binding, when you turn it over the other side, you turn it over and wrap it round like that, and then you can top stitch. But I can just do, so I don't want the stitching to show on the other side, so I can just do some tiny little stab stitches just every now and again, just because you're not going to see any of this because this is going to be attached onto my flag. So this is quite cute because it's just a little bit of the same fabric, and it just finishes the top of your flag. Oh, that's a big stitch. Finishes the top of your flag just quite nicely. So choosing like some of the coordinating fabric that you've just used, it's just kind of cute. But again, if you've got your sewing machine out, you can just whiz along and get that done. Oh, I'm so glad I've done this. I've wanted to do one of these butterflies for ages, but it's one of them things, it's like, oh, I've never really had the time or a project to do, so hopefully you've enjoyed making one as well. There we go. So that'll end up being stitched. So if you wanted to, I don't know whether or not I will, I might put a little couple of pistol stitches just on there, just to give him some little antennae. But there we have it, a little cute butterfly. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Can't wait to see everybody's combination of fabrics, but I've really enjoyed that. That was a nice thing to do this evening. So I will see you same time, same place next week. See you later.